When you get to be my age, 92 years walking this beautiful earth, you start to see things differently. Every morning when I look out at my little garden, I see a pharmacy that God planted right there in the soil. And most people, they just walk right over it, cut it down, throw it away like it is nothing. But let me tell you something that might just change your life today. There is a plant growing in your lawn right now, probably between the cracks of your sidewalk, maybe next to your mailbox, and your grandparents knew its secret. Your great-grandparents trusted it with their lives. But somehow, somewhere along the way, we forgot. We forgot that the earth provides exactly what we need when we need it. Today, I'm going to share with you the story of the most powerful painkiller I have ever known, and it has been there all along, waiting patiently under your feet. I grew up in a time when we did not have a drugstore on every corner. When pain came knocking, and believe me it did, we did not reach for a bottle with a child-proof cap. We reached for our boots, walked outside, and bent down low to the earth. My grandmother, she was a tiny woman but tough as old leather. She taught me something when I was just 7 years old that I have carried with me through 9 decades of living. She took my small hand in her weathered one, and she walked me out to the yard after I had scraped my knee so bad I thought I might never stop crying. The pain was shooting up my leg like fire, and I remember thinking I needed a doctor, needed medicine, needed something strong. She smiled at me with those knowing eyes, the kind of eyes that have seen everything twice, and she pointed down at these little plants with bright yellow flowers that I had seen 1,000 times but never really noticed. White milk came out when she broke the stem, and I will never forget what she said. She said, "Child, this right here is nature's morphine, and it has been growing here since before your grandfather's grandfather was born. The plant I am talking about, the ancient healer that is probably in your yard right this very moment, is wild lettuce." Now I know what you are thinking. Lettuce, like the salad. But no, this is different. This is Lactuca virosa, and our ancestors called it poor man's opium, and they were not exaggerating one bit. That white sap, that milky latex that oozes out when you break the stem, it contains natural compounds called lactucopecrine and lactucin, and these substances, they interact with your nervous system in the most gentle, beautiful way to ease pain without all the terrible things that come with modern painkillers. Let me take you back to a summer day in 1943. The war was raging across the ocean, and here at home everything was rationed, including medicine. My father came home from working the fields with his back seized up so bad he could barely stand up straight. I watched my mother's face, and I saw worry there, real worry, because we had no pills, no creams, nothing from town. But my grandmother, she did not panic for even a second. She walked outside with purpose, found a patch of wild lettuce growing tall by the fence line, and she harvested it with the same reverence you might see in a church. She crushed those leaves, mixed them with a little bit of warm water, and made a tea that looked cloudy and white from all that sap. My father drank it slow, and I sat there watching, a young boy wondering if this could possibly work. Within 20 minutes, I saw his face change. The lines of pain smoothed out, his shoulders dropped, and he let out a breath he had been holding for hours. He slept that night, really slept, and by morning he was back in the fields. That was not magic, that was knowledge, ancient knowledge that worked then and still works now. Now you need to understand something important about wild lettuce before you go running outside. This plant, it looks very specific, and you have to know exactly what you are looking for because there are other plants out there that can fool you. Wild lettuce grows tall, sometimes 4 or 5 feet high, with leaves that are jagged and pointed, running up a central stem. The flowers are small and yellow, looking almost like tiny dandelions, and they grow in clusters at the top. But here's the key. Here's how you know for absolute certain you have the right plant. When you break that stem or tear a leaf, you will see white, milky sap come out immediately, sticky and thick, and that sap, that is where the medicine lives. If you break a stem and nothing comes out, or if it is clear, you have got the wrong plant, and you need to keep looking. The best time to harvest wild lettuce is in the late summer, right before it flowers or just as those yellow blooms are starting to open, because that is when the concentration of those pain-relieving compounds is at its absolute highest. I remember my wife, my beautiful bride of 67 years before the Lord called her home. She suffered from headaches that would put her in bed for days. We tried everything the doctors gave us, and nothing worked without making her sick to her stomach or so drowsy she could not function. One evening, I remembered my grandmother's teaching, and I went out and found wild lettuce growing along our property line, tall and proud like it had been waiting for us. I made her a tincture, which is just a fancy word for soaking the dried leaves in alcohol to extract all that healing power. And I gave her just a small amount, maybe 20 drops in a glass of water. She was skeptical. I could see it in her eyes, but she trusted me, and that trust, that is everything in this life. The headache that had been pounding behind her eyes for 2 solid days began to fade within an hour. No stomach upset, no drowsiness that knocked her out, just relief, gentle and natural. From that day forward, we always kept wild lettuce tincture in our cabinet, and it served us faithfully for decades. The way this plant works is fascinating when you really think about it. Those compounds I mentioned, they bind to the same receptors in your brain that morphine does, but they do it so much more gently, so much more naturally. You do not get that terrible addiction. You do not get the constipation and the confusion and all the awful side effects that come with pharmaceutical painkillers. What you get is relief that feels like the pain is just slowly melting away, like warm water washing over a tense muscle. I have used it for back pain, for the arthritis that came with age, for pulled muscles and old injuries that flare up when the weather changes. I have seen it work for toothaches, for menstrual cramps, for the kind of nerve pain that shoots down your leg and makes you want to cry. This is not some weak herbal tea that barely does anything. This is real medicine, the kind that people depended on for thousands of years before we forgot how to listen to the earth. Let me tell you exactly how to use this gift that is growing in your yard right now. If you want to make a tea, and this is the simplest way to start, you take about 2 tablespoons of dried wild lettuce leaves, the ones you have harvested and hung up to dry in a cool, dark place, and you pour boiling water over them, maybe 2 cups worth. Let that steep for 15 minutes, covered so none of the medicine escapes in the steam, and then strain it out. The tea will be bitter. I will not lie to you. It tastes like the earth itself, but you can add a little honey if you need to. Drink this slowly, maybe half a cup to start, and pay attention to how your body responds. Everyone is different, and you need to learn your own body's language. Some people feel relief with just a little bit. Others need a full cup. There is no shame in either. We are all made unique and beautiful in our own way. If you want something stronger, something that will last, you make a tincture, and I will tell you how I have done it for 50 years. You take fresh or dried wild lettuce, chop it up fine, and pack it loosely into a glass jar. A mason jar works perfect. Then you cover it completely with vodka or any clear alcohol that is at least 80 proof, making sure every bit of plant material is submerged. Put a lid on tight, write the date on there because you will forget, trust me, and put it in a dark cabinet. Every day for 6 weeks, you shake that jar, just a few good shakes to keep everything mixing. After 6 weeks, you strain out all the plant material through cheesecloth or a coffee filter, and what you have left is a dark green liquid that is concentrated medicine. You only need a little bit, maybe 20 to 40 drops in water or juice, and you will feel it working. This tincture, if you store it in a dark bottle away from light, will last you years, literally years, and it will be there waiting whenever pain comes knocking. Now I have to tell you something serious because I care about you, even though we have never met. Wild lettuce is powerful, and powerful things need respect. You do not want to take too much because it can make you very drowsy and sedated, and that is not safe if you need to drive or operate machinery or take care of little ones. Pregnant women should not use this. Nursing mothers should stay away. And if you are on any medications, especially sedatives or blood thinners, you need to talk to a doctor first. I am not a doctor. I am just an old person who has lived long enough to see what works, but you have to be smart and careful. Start small, pay attention, and treat this plant with the same respect you would give any medicine, because that is exactly what it is. What breaks my heart is seeing people suffer, seeing them struggle with pain, seeing them become dependent on pills that steal their lives away, and all the while, this plant is growing right outside their door. I have seen the opioid crisis take young people, strong people, people with their whole lives ahead of them. And I wonder what would have happened if they had known about wild lettuce first. I am not saying it is a replacement for everything. I am not saying you should never see a doctor, but I am saying that we have options, natural options that our grandparents knew about, and we owe it to ourselves to remember. There is something deeply healing about going outside, putting your hands in the soil, harvesting your own medicine, and taking control of your own health in that way. It connects you to the earth, to your ancestors, to a way of living that is almost gone, but not quite, not yet. I think about my grandmother often, especially now in these last years of my life. She never went to school past the 3rd grade, but she knew things that doctors with fancy degrees did not know. She knew which plants healed and which ones harmed. She knew when to harvest and how to prepare. She knew that the earth provides if we are humble enough to look down instead of always looking up. She lived to be 96 years old, sharp as a tack until the very end, and she never took a pharmaceutical painkiller in her entire life. When I was young, I thought maybe we had advanced beyond all that old knowledge, that science had made it obsolete. But now that I am old myself, I see the truth. We did not advance beyond it. We just forgot it, and that forgetting has cost us dearly. If you take nothing else from my words today, take this. Go outside and look at your lawn with new eyes. Those plants you have been poisoning and pulling and mowing down without a second thought, some of them are treasures. Wild lettuce might be there, waiting patiently like it has waited for centuries, ready to serve you when pain comes. Learn to identify it. Learn to harvest it respectfully, taking only what you need and leaving plenty for the bees and the butterflies and the next person who needs it. Dry it carefully. Make your tea or your tincture and keep it ready. When your back goes out, when your knees start screaming, when a headache threatens to ruin your day, you will have something pure and natural and effective, something that your ancestors would recognize and nod their heads in approval. I am running out of time on this earth. We all are, if we are honest. But I sleep peacefully knowing that I am passing this knowledge on to you. Every person who learns about wild lettuce, who uses it, who teaches their children and grandchildren, keeps this wisdom alive. That is how it survives, through the telling, through the teaching, through the doing. My grandmother taught my mother taught me, I taught my children, and now I am teaching you. This chain of knowledge stretches back thousands of years, and it can stretch forward too if we choose to carry it. You are part of that chain now, and that is a beautiful responsibility. The world has gotten so complicated, so fast, so disconnected from the simple truths that sustained humanity for all of history. But underneath all that noise and confusion, the earth is still here, still offering its gifts freely, still waiting for us to remember. Wild lettuce is just one plant, one teacher, but it can open your eyes to a whole world of natural medicine that is growing all around you. Once you start seeing it, once you start learning, you cannot unsee it, and your life becomes richer for it. You become more self-reliant, more connected, more grateful for the abundance that most people walk right past. So here is what I ask of you, from one soul to another. Try this. Just try it. Find wild lettuce, identify it carefully, harvest it with respect, and make yourself some medicine. When it works, and I believe it will, share this knowledge. Tell your neighbor, teach your kids, make a video of your own. The algorithm might not show my old face to everyone who needs this information, but if you share it, if you spread it, this wisdom will reach further than I ever could alone. That is how we fight back against forgetting, against the loss of this precious knowledge. We tell the stories, we teach the skills, we keep the flame burning. Before I let you go today, I want you to know that you matter. Your health matters, your pain matters, and you deserve relief that does not come with a terrible price. You deserve to know that the earth loves you, provides for you, and has been doing so since the very beginning. Wild lettuce is proof of that love, growing quietly in the margins, waiting to serve. I have lived 92 years, and I have learned that the most powerful things in life are often the simplest, the most overlooked, the most humble. A small plant with white sap and yellow flowers has relieved more suffering in my life and the lives of people I love than I can count. And now, it is yours to use too. If this old voice has meant something to you today, if you feel like you have learned something valuable, I would be so grateful if you would subscribe to this channel. I do not have many years left to share these stories, this wisdom, these secrets that time is trying to bury. Every subscription tells me that this matters, that people still care about the old ways, that maybe, just maybe, we can remember before it is too late. Share these videos with someone you love, someone who is hurting, someone who needs hope. Together, we keep this knowledge alive, and that is the most important work any of us can do. Thank you for spending this time with me, for listening to an old soul ramble about plants and memories and a life well lived. Go outside today, put your hands on the earth, and see what miracles are waiting there. The ancient painkiller is in your lawn right now, and it is calling your name.